Quick thought here, but everybody knows that psychopaths are con artists. Okay, that they will put on a big show of being a businessman or a husband or this or that, and that it all turns out to have been a complete and total facade. And this is almost always, if not always, attributed to the psychopath's predilection for deceiving. It is attributed to malice on his part, to a wish to deceive, maybe for financial gain or maybe simply because he likes to deceive. And these are obviously factors, but they are, as I now realize, secondary factors. I've actually known many psychopaths. I mean, the term psychopath has a number of different meanings, a number of different related meanings, but there are many different kinds of people fall within the scope of the term psychopath. Nonetheless, confining myself just to pure psychopaths, to not to criminals, not to people who were marching to their own slightly defective drummer. I'm talking about just people who, in the strictest conceivable sense, were psychopaths. What I noticed, what failed, what could not fail to strike me with incredible force was that they simply did not understand the distinction between the appearance and the reality. They simply did not. They did not understand that. They did not understand that if people did a given thing, it was because there was some associated emotion with it. It was because it had a certain meaning. They simply didn't understand. They simply did not distinguish between the reality and the appearance. And they also, although by some narrow measures they were intelligent up to a point, their intelligence was incredibly one-dimensional, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that that this intelligence lacked all of the emotional concomitances of that intelligence usually has. But I also think that it was actually just kind of their intellects were actually just inherently feeble. I think that they were just missing so many parts that it's not really possible to say what the reason for their being only lacking intelligence was. I think they were missing so many parts that it's not really possible to pinpoint the cause of their lack of intelligence or their functional lack of intelligence. But they simply didn't understand the distinction between the appearance and the reality. And I mean, they simply would not have the first idea of what was actually involved in being a husband or what was actually involved in being a scholar. I mean, they could understand up to a point what was involved in doing business, but only up to a point. And relative to how little they understood, there would be no basis, there would be no way for them to distinguish between what a crook does and what a businessman does. So they were not good people, okay? They were in fact very bad people to the extent that it was within their power, to the extent that their limited range of understanding enabled them to actually grasp badness and to grasp moral codes enough for them to really violate them willfully. But it basically just had to do with they were just they were like people who were not human and not really anything else, but who had read a couple of textbooks on human behavior and were aping it. And then the incredibly obvious kind of gaps in their performance were smoothed over. First of all, some people simply saw through them instantaneously, as I did. Most people did not, shockingly. But yes, they did quickly learn that. I think they basically, what they do is around 80-90% of the population does not see, well, 5% of the population sees through them instantaneously. The remaining 95 do not see through them instantaneously. Of that 95, there are 50% who will never see through them unless they turn out to be Ted Bundy, right? And they kind of focus on those people, and these are limited people and also people with serious deficits themselves who are suckers for flattery and things like that. And then there are a lot of them who are kind of half psychopaths themselves or quarter psychopaths themselves. And but anyway, but the point is that a lot of the psychopath's proverbial deceptiveness and so on and so forth, I mean, it is what it is alleged to be to a large extent. A lot of it just has to do with the incredible superficiality of his understanding.